Okay, so here's an old age video to kind of help all of you out. I am already wearing a light layer of foundation, so I'm just going to start going in now with my contour. Okay, I want you to notice how I go ahead and make the line first, the shape of my line, and then I'm very softly blending this. I'm not moving it too far away from where I've drawn the line, so that way my contour stays more or less accurate to where I want it. Okay, so now you can see this is all my initial round of contour. I also want you to keep in mind, if you mess it up like I did up here, don't worry about it because you're going to go back in with highlight, so you can fix some of this. You want to make sure that you're still relatively even and well blended in all of these contour areas. So now I'm going to switch to my brush. Make a face, see where your nasolabial fold is, and then get in there. Don't forget to go around and into your nostril area and really define that. And then come around and underneath. And notice how I'm really not using a ton of product. It's a light amount because I can always go back in and add more. But it's going to be a lot harder if I have to take it away. All right. I'm just very carefully blending that out toward my cheek. I'm going to start my nose contour down the side of my nose. I really want you all to be paying attention to how I'm using my brushes, how I'm using my tools. All right, you can see how I start by drawing the line. I don't immediately go to blending. I'm just creating a shape that I want. Once I have that shape, I'm patting out my brush. And then very carefully blending away. But you see how I still have the hard edge right there, right? You see how I have those hard edges in the center, and then I've softly blended everything away. It doesn't have to be a perfect blend. It can be a little choppy and uneven, and that's okay. I also want you to notice how I'm choosing to follow natural contours that are in my face, right? I don't have a big indentation in this part of my chin, so I'm only doing this small area. These are things you want to pay attention to on your own face to make sure that you're actually only following contour that you naturally have. Starting this eye contour, I'm about 3/4 of the way in here. And I'm going to just draw a diagonal line down. All right. Now I'm going to close my eye, and I'm going to draw a line from the corner of my eye, kind of out and down. Really a little more out than down. And now I'm going to pull on my eyelid to make this a little easier for me. Right. And I'm just connecting these two. And now that I've connected them, blend this around a little bit. Into the corner. And I'm going to blend all of this downward. I'm going to actually get in here with a slightly darker color. So you can see that line and how I'm blending that into the corner of my eyelid and underneath, right? So you all see how that looks. Okay. And now that I've done that, I'll start my eye bag. So I'm not going all the way into the corner, I'm just tracing a line around the natural socket of my eye, not worrying about if it's perfectly even. Once I have this in, I'm going to very carefully, very lightly blend upward toward my eye. And then I'm adding a second line up here. Not making it really big, I'm just kind of following underneath where my eye is. And letting that line be. Okay. Now that I've got all of this basic contour on, I am going to start with my highlight. So take my highlight, I'm going to get in here and over my brow bone. I'm going to use the clean side of my sponge to start blending that out. And I'm going to let this contour and highlight blend together a little bit. Same up top. I'm going to let this blend together. Okay. I'm going to go in on my cheekbone here. Just dotting that little bit of highlight in. And I let that blend up into my temple contour. Now I'm going to follow on my jaw. Okay, I'm adding a little highlight here on the opposite side of where I've created my jowl line, so that you really see that start to sag. I'm going to get underneath here, make my chin more prominent. Okay, I'm going to go down the center of my nose, all the way over the tip. And I'm going to add some onto my nostril here too, just to make that look a little wider. Okay. I'm going to put highlight right here. Careful to keep a hard line right next to where I drew my contour line. And then I'm going to blend that out towards my brow bone. Really shaping that sagging fold in the eye. Then I am going to come in here in between. I'm keeping this hard line of the highlight here and just blending it down towards where I drew the line underneath. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw another hard line right next to that. And blend that outward. Right. So you start seeing those differences. Double check my blending in places. Okay, I'm going to draw a hard line inside this nasolabial fold. Right, so I'm really trying to sculpt this out now. And then I'm going to blend that inward. To make it more apparent. And finally, I'm going to add just a small stripe of highlight right here. And I'm going to blend that away. Just to give that a little bit more of a fleshy, saggy appearance. Okay? Okay. Now that I have done all of this, I can go back and start doing detail work, right? So I'm gonna look and see, what do I have for crow's feet? And I'm gonna start lightly sketching some crow's feet in here. You notice I'm careful to not make these all the same size and shape. And I'm kind of looking at what I have naturally as I start making these so that it's just small lines. If I think I need it, I'll go in and do a little bit of extra highlight underneath my crow's feet to really bump them up and make them more apparent. I'm going to frown. You see, I don't have a lot of lines in between my eyebrows, So I'm just gonna add a really small right here, and maybe a little contour across the bridge of my nose here. All right, and I'm gonna keep the sharp side of this line toward my eyebrow and just blend the rest of this out nice and soft. And this right here on my nose, I'm gonna keep the sharp side toward the bridge of my nose and blend upward a little bit. So you see how that starts to sculpt out my nose and brow area. I'm going to wrinkle my forehead. Again, I don't have a ton of forehead wrinkles, so I'm just going to keep it to a few lightly sketched ones. You notice I don't make them straight lines. I let them curve. I let them be a little broken and a little uneven. The only thing that I'm really careful to do is make sure that they're actually a hard line, not a soft blended line. Right, so I get those wrinkles in. Once those are in, I dab my brush. I'm gonna just blend slightly upward. I'm barely blending away because I don't want these to take over my forehead. And then I'm gonna go underneath. I'm gonna start creating that highlight, and I let the highlight sketch over the top in a few places and kind of break those lines up a little bit. And then I start just blend that highlight downward. Again, just barely blending it downward, because what I don't want to do is lose the definition I've created by over blending. All right, so now you can see I've created my forehead wrinkles here, and from a distance, they usually read fairly wrinkly. All right. So finally, I'm going to come in and I'm going to work on my lips a little bit here. I am going to go ahead and just use a paler foundation color, but you can also do this with highlight if you're trying to make yourself look a little more sick. So I'm just kind of push my lips like this. I'm going to put that foundation over them. All right, so now I've got that foundation over my lips. And I'm gonna go back in and shadow into the lines that I have created. Letting some of them come out and down. I'm just careful to follow what's there naturally. And break up this line a little bit. Right. So now you can see I've got these lovely old lips, right? Now, if you want, you can go back in and put a little bit of color back into this once you've got all your line work done. All right. Just very carefully dab a little bit of natural lip color in between. So, you know, I can still see my lips. They're still defined, but I also have all those age lines on them.